Well, the Colombian leg of the worldwide privacy tour is underway, or should that be the Colombian ankles, because in she trotted, wearing a Veronica beard, vest and pants in navy, with black Manolo Blahniks to the trotters. Trotted in she did, with her duke, invited as they were by Francia Marquez, after watching the Netflix propaganda, we learn. Yes, the Vice President of Colombia was settling down with Netflix, and she drank the Kool-Aid. She says this is their first visit to Latin America. The purpose of their visit is to build bridges and open doors that will allow us to join forces in raising awareness and addressing a global issue that concerns us all: cyberbullying in digital environments and discrimination, which pose a risk to everyone's mental health worldwide. Okay, combat cyberbullying, one can understand, but let's not confuse and conflate cyberbullying with fair critique while we're at it. With fair critique, with fair criticism, with freedom of opinion and freedom of speech, because there is quite a danger of conflating the two. And that is what we are in danger with when it comes to Harry and Meghan. We've seen it for ourselves, and we know it to be true. I, for example, temper my critique of them with praise when I feel that it is due, and with defence of them when I feel that it is due. We can provide critique while being fair-minded. For example, I will tell you that I thought that the vest and the pant ensemble, that is the designer's words for it, by the way, vest and pants, it was slick, I thought it was professional, and it gave the illusion of some shape in the middle, some sort of shape going on, which is rare for her. I liked that. And I liked the no-nonsense hair. I thought that was really good. I don't care to see her ankles, but the lines were appropriate for the climate and the location, I will say. The Vice President continued saying, "Undoubtedly this partnership will help us advance in protecting and ensuring the rights of children and adolescents. It also aims to promote the leadership of women around the world." Like Sophie's visit, this visit was made possible thanks to an invitation we extended to Prince Harry and Meghan, Duke and Duchess of Sussex, last year. The faux Viceroy and Vicereign of Sussex were welcomed by the Vice President and her partner, Raphael, at the Vice President's residence. That's an awful lot of vice, ain't it, my dears? An awful lot of vice. Gifts were exchanged over beverages and pain de bonneau. How civilised. Well, the niceties over, it was time for the Duchess to undergo a wardrobe change, her second out of 3 in this one afternoon. And we are presented with the Johanna Ortiz gown, the Navajo Weaver metallic tweed, and it was stunning. We must be able to speak dispassionately and objectively, and in my opinion it was stunning. And I know that she's worn a similar gown to that by the same designer. Wasn't it in gold when she was in New York and made all that great big fuss about a couple of taxis following after her? Well, this time I really thought that the design and the colourways of this piece looked beautiful, and it looked like a garment of great quality, and I thought the makeup was impeccable, so I'm going to give that to her. But we've still got the brown outfit to come. So never fear, my dear. Never fear, river will be speaking, the river will flow in just a moment. Prince Harry spoke at a safety summit on the dangers of fake news. I wonder if it reminded him of the Sandy Summit all those years ago with his false information and fake news. Well, at this summit, the dangers of fake news, false information and AI-generated material. And these are all, as usual, genuine causes for concern, but there is no self-awareness, is there? No self-awareness of the total irony of him speaking about this sort of situation and the devastation that was caused by their own variable recollections. My dear. We remember, don't we? Just like the late Queen Liz. Variable recollections, misremembrances, embellishments, elaborations, and what some quarters might actually call downright lies. And there has been no acknowledgement of the cyberbullying that they're prattling on about that was hurled at his very own sister-in-law, Catherine, future queen of this kingdom, from the grubby hands of his own associates and his own associated employees and his lickspittles, be they Boozy or Scobie or Ragland, or indeed his own Mountbatten Windsor lips. Prince Harry said as long as people are allowed to spread lies, abuse, harass, then social cohesion as we know it has completely broken down. Well, start with the man in the mirror. Haribo, do a Michael Jackson and start with the man in the mirror. And do something about your hair while you're at it. And also, with regards to this Josh Kettler departure, their chief of staff, ex-chief of staff, we all know who the chief is. We all know who the chief is there. Well, it's worth mentioning that it is People magazine who claims that one of their sources briefed them on the situation that it was a mutual decision to part ways. There are plenty of rumours saying that Mr. Kettler threw in the towel and couldn't hack working with them anymore, and that he plain quit. But the official line, or unofficially official line, fed to People magazine in this unofficial brief from the Montecito Trumpeter, flies in the face of what Harry has previously intimated, which is that there would be no unofficial briefings with everything that goes on at the palaces and between the households at the palaces and all the drama created there by unauthorised briefings. I thought that wasn't going to be the case under your regal leadership and reign of Montecito, Harry. Well, it seems that your friends at People magazine tell a different story. Allegedly. But indeed, this Francia Marquez, vice president, certainly drank the Kool-Aid, didn't she? The Netflix Kool-Aid. She seems to have been impressed by the Beyonce scene, where Beyonce sends Meghan a text that was staged. Some people are impressed by that sort of celebrity shoulder rubbing and scenting, and it seems that Francia Marquez is one of them. She tells us that it motivated me to say, this is a woman who deserves to visit our country and share her story. Storyteller. And undoubtedly her visit will strengthen so many women around the world. Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining, Francia Marquez. I'll thank you not to do that. I'm not a lamppost. Then, just as Meghan is performing quite well, stylistically, after wriggling into her second costume change, then it's time for the third costume change of the day. She emerges, draped in material in various shades of diarrhea, and Wallace Simpson centre parting. And I don't know if it was puke or if it was poop, but it did look like it was coming out of both ends. And the only thing that was missing was her poop emoji tiara. Perhaps she put on her pyjamas by mistake. Well, they sleepwalked onto the dance floor for a boogie-woogie, and we were treated to them throwing shapes. What those shapes were, I won't mention, but it made for good photos, mimicking royal tours as they went along, following the format of William and Catherine's royal tours and the royal tours of any working member of the royal family. It is so vulgar. And such front they have to actually dare to try and pull off these faux royal sojourns. This was at the Delia Zapata National Centre for Arts, where they were treated to a showcase of theatre, music and dance, and they posed for selfies. But the press noted that all the school children in attendance looked bored to tears. Bored to tears. That's the thing, isn't it? Those at the school children age, they can't hide it, they can't fake it on their faces, all of this enthusiasm. You see the truth there, and at least they were spared a reading of The Bench this time, so far. Who knows what they'll throw up, but thankfully they were spared that tedium. Meghan gripped Harry's thigh throughout the whole affair. And in a rare display of his alpha side, he clasped his hand over hers. I thought that was quite brave of him. Quite brave. And I'm sure that she was squirming with discomfort. Of course, Sophie Edinburgh did all of this and more last year with quiet dignity. Reports are suggesting that there was a very large security detail funded by the Colombian government and immense security presence. We are told that there was a 14-car cavalcade and police van convoys for these VIPs, vice imposter poseurs. Meghan had the temerity to urge online trolls to remember what their granny told them. Now this really takes the biscuit, my dear. She said, maybe your grandmother used to say to you, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Ooh. Excuse me, Ragland, did you not ask yourself what H's granny would make of all the nice things that you said about her realms, about the Commonwealth, about her family, via your various interviews and your books and your streaming series? Did that not cross your mind? What H's grandmother said was, recollections may vary, Meghan. Recollections may vary. The silk shirt, by the way, that she was wearing was by Vicky Beckham, which raised a few eyebrows, but not Mrs. Beckham's due to the Botox. The satin wide-leg pants were by La Linea, and the sandals at Croisière Divine. Well, I'm told that this is the first time she's worn Vicky Beckham since 2018. Forgive me if that's wrong, but that's what I hear tell. And David and Victoria Beckham are staunchly Team Wales. Sorry to break it to you, Harkles. Staunchly Team Wales and Team King. They love the King and Queen. And, as it won't have escaped your attention, David Beckham has been in the press very recently, meeting with Charles at Highgrove for a cup of tea, coming on board very enthusiastically as an ambassador for the King's Foundation. Well, now, of course, they've been inspecting the columns. Sophie's doing too well with all her pet projects. And now, Mr. Beckham and the Beckhams are getting far too cosy with the King and Queen and the Royals and Catherine and Willie. And so they're going to muscle on in there, aren't they? And all this time, after all this time, she brandishes Vicky Beckham. Nothing's by accident with this too. You know that as well as I do. They are decisively curated, these pieces she wears, however sloppily executed. It is decisive and intentional. Sending a message, gaslighting, always. And I will read out a comment from somebody with insight into Colombia, goes by the name Master English Coaching. From Bogota here, expat for 50 years. Not a good place to visit right now. Horrid crime is rampant. Most thefts involve grave bodily harm inflicted just for the joy of it after dispossessing you of your belongings. Any sort of protection is now suspect, as bodyguards, chauffeurs and muscle will sell you out in a heartbeat to the Colombian and Venezuelan gangs. I've been kidnapped and tortured twice, and I am just a lowly English teacher. Everyone I know and know of has been beset by demoralising crime and carries physical scars to prove it. This trip is another Self-Munchausen for Harry. Francia Marquez, also known as Kamala Harris on steroids, when asked how she justifies flying government helicopters to go home to see her family, famously states, "I deserve it. The people of Colombia elected me." VPs are appointed by the presidential candidate, not elected by the people. And to childishly aver that she deserves something while in public office is sad. Maybe Harry can have her as his second wife and really go into orbit on his fairy wing around the victimhood stratosphere. Well, you pull no punches, do you, my dear? No punches at all. Thank you for your insight, and I'm very, glad to hear that you survived much nastiness to tell the tale, and I am certainly not in the know or genned up at all on the politics of this part of the world, so I defer to you, but there may be conflicting views on this subject, but indeed the word is that the Harkles' presence is being used to deflect from various scandals involving the government, because I hear tell that they haven't been doing so well. The president, Gustavo Petro, is a radical leftist, and he's been in power for 2 years now, and he's made a lot of promises, to lift people out of poverty, all the usual promises, my dear, pie crust promises, better education and social welfare. But there's been lots of scandals surrounding him and his family. His son has been accused of various corruptions and is possibly facing a 25-year term in jail. And then there's the fact that he himself, the president, has been accused of adultery with a trans, with a very glamorous trans TV host, and he hasn't denied it. So that's been going on, but critics have claimed that he and the vice president have yet to do anything constructive with their funds of benevolence. A little bit like Archewell, don't you think? And actually, the vice president that's now rubbing shoulders with the Harkles has been accused herself of similar behaviour to Eva Peron. And we all know who does their best impersonation of Evita. The vice president has been taking helicopters like taxis, as you told me in your comment, my dear, and she's been spending millions on her personal residence. She rose from rags to riches, like Evita did, not ragland to riches, as Meghan did. The critics call her a fraud. That also rings a bell, doesn't it? And I don't want to cast aspersions, because she could be a really lovely lady. I mean, she's obviously been duped by the Harkles, but she could absolutely be a lovely lady. Let me know if she is. I can only go by what you tell me. Those of you who have insight going on in that country. She could be wonderful, but she's certainly been led astray. She's been led up the garden path, and she's been led into a shit show. I look forward to reading your fruity thoughts and juicy comments. Thank you, my dear. And if I made you smile and you fancy treating me to a cup of coffee, my tip jar is in the description box, and I thank you most sincerely. Stay fruity and always on royal duty. Doodle pip.